Welcome to the Battle Ready Sermon Podcast with Captain Rob Westwood-Payne.
In his Gospel, Mark recalls this particular incident involving Jesus and his followers. After they arrived at Capernaum and settled in a house, Jesus asked his disciples, "What were you discussing out on the road?" But they didn't answer because they had been arguing about which one of them was the greatest. He sat down, called the 12 disciples over to him, and said, "Whoever wants to be first must take last place and be the servant of everyone else." Then he put a little child among them. Taking the child in his arms, he said to them, "Anyone who welcomes a little child like this on my behalf welcomes me. And anyone who welcomes me welcomes not only me, but also my Father who sent me." I don't know how many of you watched the coronation yesterday. It was a grand spectacle, as I guess we imagined. The procession throughout London was just amazing to watch. There was the beautiful gold state coach, which my wife Gail and I managed to see close up on a trip to Buckingham Palace last summer. There was the pageantry of the service, the absolutely sublime music, the anointing with holy oil, the crown jewels, including the orb, the scepter and the crown. St. Edward's crown, with which King Charles was crowned yesterday, was made in 1661. It weighs over 4 pounds and it contains 444 precious stones. The imperial state crown, which he wore to come out of the abbey and through the procession and up onto the balcony at Buckingham Palace, has over 3,000 precious stones in it, including the Cullinan II diamond. We know that yesterday's procession and service reflects thousands of years of our history. The first recorded coronation was for King Edgar in 973 AD. It first became the grand spectacle that it was yesterday from the time that William the Conqueror was crowned in Westminster Abbey in 1066. And it's remained fairly unchanged in lots of ways through to Queen Elizabeth II's coronation in 1953 and then yesterday's coronation of King Charles. But all the pageantry, all the spectacle, all the pomp and circumstance was in deep contrast to the very first words that King Charles said yesterday at the beginning of the coronation service. After he was welcomed by that chorister, echoing Jesus' words, King Charles said, "In his name and after his example, I come not to be served, but to serve." In those few moments of teaching that I read from Mark chapter 9, Jesus taught his followers that whoever wants to be first must take last place and be the servant of everyone else. Now, this teaching came at a particular part in his ministry on earth. Before this, he had been teaching his followers that he was the Messiah. He had revealed himself to be the anointed king that many of the ancient prophets of the Old Testament had testified about. The Messiah was the person that the people of Israel believed would save them and give them their rightful place as his children. And Jesus had been teaching his followers that he was that Messiah. He was that anointed king. But Jesus was not the Messiah they expected. He didn't come in pomp and circumstance and pageantry. In fact, just before this incident in Mark chapter 9, he had told his followers that he must head towards Jerusalem to suffer and to die on the cross. That was totally different to what they expected. But just as King Charles pronounced yesterday, Jesus had already told his followers, "For even the Son of Man," referring to himself, "came not to be served, but to serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many." That was difficult to understand because it in no way fitted into the way that people understood what the Messiah, the anointed king, might do. It would be like a footballer coming on our screens today before a big match, perhaps to win the Premier League or to win promotion or the FA Cup, and say that tomorrow he's decided he's going to play with his legs tied together. That's how unexpected Jesus' words were. But Jesus makes it clear to his followers, and therefore to us, that greatness is measured by service. A true leader places his or herself and his or her needs last. Now, that doesn't mean becoming a doormat or going around tugging your forelock at everyone, but it does mean having an attitude that looks to and acts upon others' needs without expecting or demanding anything in return. Jesus' example, which King Charles pledged to follow several times during the coronation yesterday, is to forget about our status and simply to serve others. To forget our prestige, to forget our self-worth, to forget our bank balance, to forget our status in life. As Christians, we are not Jesus' royal courtiers in waiting. We are his fellow servants. See, God evaluates us differently to the way the world does. God doesn't look at our heritage or our rank or our wealth or our position. He looks for self-giving service. So I just challenge you today, those who are in hearing of this message. If you are a leader anywhere in your life, what could you do to ensure that your leadership reflects the radical servant leadership that Jesus is looking for? That's the question I'm asking myself as a leader today. If you're not a leader, then the question is, who could you from among your peers serve in any way? Very soon the coronation symbols of power and prestige will be put away. The processions are over. The crown jewels will be returned to the Tower of London. The gold state coach will be parked up for another day. The flags will be taken down. And King Charles will continue to serve his people, as he has done for many years already. In the same way, we are called to return to our lives, to be faithful servants, and to look for ways to help others. May God bless and guide us as we do so.
If you would like to subscribe to Battle Ready Sermons wherever you choose to listen to podcasts, or if you'd like to receive them direct to your inbox, head to www.equippinghispeople.com/sermons and follow the instructions.